so much for your time today. So much to talk about. Let's obviously start with the film. Oh my God, it was so touching, especially for me being a parent. I can't imagine when you first read your friend Rebecca's script, how it was a play, excuse me. How did that touch you and then make you think, not only is this going to make a great movie, but did you envision Anna in the lead role immediately?
Oh my God. Yeah. Thank you, by the way. Yes, parenting is tough.
Mm,
And and I'm on my second wave. Um, let's hope one of the older kids doesn't have a kid too soon because I'm not ready for the third wave. Um, but um, I was very moved by the play because it's about somebody who has been through something and is broken by it and
yeah,
doesn't believe that they have the right to have their children anymore. They're so full of self-loathing and despair that they can't see a route back to having their children, and they don't think they deserve them anyway.
mm,
And everybody who, the people who have tried to help them, they just they can't let them in because they feel so broken. And Ella, this character, was it's past the moment of the fireworks where the crazy stuff happens, where the wild nights have happened and the pubs happened and the crazy stuff and dancing on tables and all of that. No,
right. It's
and
the
she's got
aftermath.
it's the aftermath, and she's got
Yeah.
sober, and and having got sober, she doesn't know what to do with herself. There's nothing to do with her days. She hasn't got the desire or the want or the sort of self-esteem to do anything, and she
Mm,
punishes herself for losing her kids by going to the playground that she used to take her own children to watch other children play,
right.
so that
Ugh.
she to punish herself. And I just thought, that's something I've never heard of, I've never seen. That guilt, that grief
Mm,
for the life that she was supposed to have. She's going through guilt and grief at the same time. And and I was just really moved by it. And when when our kids, without going into too much detail, our kids were born very early, and
yeah.
there was that kind of concern at the beginning because of the NICU and our twins, the NICU and all of that stuff. You go through all of these elements and these moments in your life where you question your choices and you question things that you've done and you question the ways you've done things. and
For sure.
and um and so I when I read it, I couldn't help but sort of see Anna in the part.
Mm,
Um, I had I had been friends with Rebecca for many years. I hadn't spoken to her for a while, and actually, when I first found out about the play, I didn't even know that she was writing.
wow.
It had been that long since we'd seen each other, and it was her first play, and it had won this award at the
Mm,
Bruntwood Screen uh, Play competition, which is the biggest stage writing competition in the UK. And there's a really lovely little bit of serendipity in it, in that Rebecca and I had met 25 years before on a show called The Grand, which was written by Russell T Davis,
yeah.
who's a genius. Did It's a Sin, did Queer as Folk, did reinvented Doctor Who with Matt
Yeah.
Smith. He's really like, he's a bit of a god, and he really is. And unbeknownst to Rebecca, when she put her play into that playwriting competition, you enter that playwriting competition anonymously. So it doesn't
Mm,
have your name on it. And Russell was the judge.
wow.
And it's 2,000 plays that they read. And Russell was the judge, and she won this award. Anyway, so it was a little bit to do with Rebecca's life, and I just saw elements that I thought that Anna would be really interested in. Mental health, certainly. um you know a sort of postpartum um feeling of guilt around your children, whether you've whether you feel that you've done anything right or wrong or not, I think the modern woman has so much pressure to be, brilliant, beautiful, um, thin, the best
Everything.
mum in the
Yeah.
world, back at work, looking great, doing it as if it's
Yeah.
like completely effortless. I think all of those things are very much part of the sort of female modern world that we live in. And I thought that I hadn't seen this character before. So yes, I did think of Anna. Rebecca thought she was too young, uh,
Hmm.
which was really
Oh,
interesting because when I read it, Anna was like 36 or 37. By the time we made it, she was 39 and the character was written 39.
well, there
And,
you go.
and it was
Yeah.
so, I felt like it
Yeah,
was
I thought she was just wonderful. Like she keeps just getting better and better,
she's
whenever I see her and stuff.
she's
Like
unbelievable.
full disclosure, I interviewed her for the piano. What was she,
Did
5?
you?
I swear to God, I did that junket. This is how long I've been doing this, Stephen.
Well, you
I
look
know I only
fabulous,
look
darling.
25, but
You're going backwards. How do you do that?
I don't know. It must be that true blood thing
I was
happening.
just
I don't
about to
know,
say,
but
what kind of vampiric shit are you drinking?
it's been on your show, but I digress. But no, seriously, she honestly, every time I see her in something, it's just she breaks my heart in this. And I wanted to ask you, what continually surprises you about her when she takes these things on?
Um, she has a she has an element of access
Mm,
that is really really fascinating to access the deepest well of difficulty. Um, there are many ways of acting. You can pretend.
sure.
There's the famous Hoffman Larry Olivier story. Just why don't you just act, my love?
Yeah.
There are many ways of going about it, and many ways of accessing into the experience that you're feeling. Anna, um, Anna, there's no there's no pretend.
Mm,
She goes to the place that she needs to go to get to the bottom of it. I thought that in some ways it would be really interesting to access that stuff because oh, my dog, hang on. Do you hear
okay,
that?
it's okay.
Hear that? Come on, and you come. Up you get. You're
Love
disturbing.
it.
Come on, up on the bed. Come up here. Come on, lay down. Go on, jump. You can do the jump. There we go. Stay there, please.
I love it.
Isn't he hilarious?
He's
He was
great. He's
pouring on the
great.
floor. He would have actually found his way in.
Beautiful. Is he
He would
black
have
lab?
found.
It's hard to see.
Well, we thought he was black lab, but we just had the DNA thing done.
Ah,
He's he's half Cocker Spaniel and half German Shepherd. Bizarre.
wow, he's beautiful. Okay, anyway, so
Bizarre.
just to
Um,
finish off, just about Anna tapping into that because I would think that that's scary way, especially with this role, like
no, I know,
kinda.
and and it's a really good question because if I had thought about it more, I would have been concerned. um, we had done a gig together in 2018, 2019, where she was playing this like alcoholic, drug addicted, sex addicted character called who was a PR agent.
Yes, great series, by the way. Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah, yeah,
and we developed that for her,
yeah,
and she runs the full gamut of emotions, and she's hilarious in it, but
yeah.
Anna's can't not go there, so at the end of that series there's this extraordinary sequence. I was directing this sequence where she realizes that she's literally broken up with every single human being in her life.
Mm,
And we did this shot. I did this thing where the camera was strapped to the front of her, and we were on the 6th floor of this nightclub in London. And she takes this phone call, which is the final phone call, the final moment where she realizes that she's lost this one person who always came back to her, and she starts crying, and then she walks down 6 flights of stairs, and then she walks out into the London night, It was like midnight,
Mm.
and we walked for like 20 minutes with Anna just broken, and we were all in front of her because obviously the camera's pointing this way, right?
Yeah,
So the camera was pointing back at the world. So all the extras were behind her. We had to keep sort
right.
of filling extras in behind her, and she's just walking through the London streets, and we're like an enclave in front of her, so going through people, so they don't realize that we're a film crew because there's like 8 of us, and she just stayed in it for like 20 minutes. It's one of the most emotional things I've ever seen in my life
Mm.
because we just left her to it, right? And and watching her, it's a double-edged sword for me because watching her go through that stuff is very, very difficult.
Of
Ah,
course. Yeah.
but there's also an again, using that word access, there's an access to a place that I don't think I see in very many people, and that's so vulnerable. And and she spends Ella's quite a dislikable character, and
Yeah,
she
she is, but you feel for her though.
but she
You do.
uses it, to
Yeah.
keep people away.
Yeah.
She's obstinate and she's difficult and she's nasty and she's self-sabotaging because that way she keeps people from helping her,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Until finally this like 13-year-old kid breaks her open, and just there's these tiny little moments where she starts
Mm.
coming back. When Dad says, you feel different, you feel different, and it's that idea that somehow the film's about almost about forgiveness. It's isn't it? It's like
Well, forgiving yourself.
forgiving yourself
Yeah.
and absolving, allowing yourself to carry everything that you've done and you've been responsible for, but moving forward anyway,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And 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 she goes through so many times where she tries to fight the urge to be better, or every time, like when her ex comes to the house, when her new ex's new partner
Hmm.
comes to the house with her dad, she says something and then they leave and she feels like, why did I say that, why do I do this? You can see her feeling it,
Yeah.
and yet she can't help herself from doing it.
Yeah, it's quite
Very-
extraordinary, and I have just so much to ask you and so little time, so I don't
go
mean to
ahead.
cut you off, but
Yeah.
I honestly, the cast, like I wanted to talk about the Luca who plays Neil. He's amazing. I'd
Yeah.
never really seen him, but also, come on, Ray Winstone. I mean, could anybody be cooler than Ray Winstone?
Well,
Seriously.
I like Ray is like a, I said this earlier, so it's going to sound less now. He's like a god to me. I
Yeah.
absolutely worship him. And any boy growing up, when I was growing up, there's this film called Scum that he did when he was like 18.
Yeah.
And then and then there's this succession of films that he did, Nil by Mouth for Gary Oldman, um, Sexy Beast, obviously.
Mm.
Um, just this succession of extraordinary performances, and he's just such a part of our you know youth.
Yes.
But I didn't feel like we'd ever seen him play somebody who too was broken, who
True.
also had, he isolates, he's unable to be in public with what he, and I said to him when we started speaking about it, I was like, it's like the character in Nil by Mouth, but 20 years later when he's lost everything.
Yeah.
And 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 there's this gentleness underneath this gangster, The Departed, that character in The Departed where he
Yes.
breaks up in Leo DiCaprio's cast,
Yes.
and or is it Matt Damon's cast? Huh, that's interesting. Um,
I know it's been a while since I've seen it too, but I
I've watched
think,
that film 30
yeah.
times and I can't, because they're both playing like twins in it. I
Yeah.
can't.
No, understood. But
Um,
yeah, but
but
and the
he,
fact that you are now in the series of Sexy Beast. I mean,
I
did you
know.
discuss that with him?
Yeah,
Did
well,
that
I
come up?
texted him. I texted him and I said, "Oh, you're not going to believe this. I've just been offered Sexy Beast," and he texted me back, "Call me." And I was in LA and I was just finishing the edit of A Bit of Light, and and I FaceTimed him, and just like his character in Sexy Beast, he was sitting by his pool in Sicily with his top off and getting his tan. And but he was so. I mean, this gives you an idea of Ray. He didn't want to hear any. He didn't. He wasn't concerned about any aspect of redoing Sexy Beast, anything to do with any who was playing him, any of
Yeah,
that stuff. He just wanted to hear about who I was playing. Was I excited about it?
nice.
No. What do you need any help? Is there anything that I can give you a pointer on about any of those characters? Like just
Wow.
generosity. Ah, God, I adore him. And I
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
and I think this is I think this is an extraordinary Ray Winston performance
without a doubt.
because what's fascinating about Luca, the kid Neil, is that although Neil has sort of, and I'd love to ask you some questions about Neil, but although Neil has sort of decided in that playground when he first sees Ella that it's his job to put Ella back together again, um, in so doing, he he ends up putting everybody else back together again too, and just by nudging them in the right direction, by like he helps Alan have the courage to help Ella, right? You know, and he
Yeah,
helps Alan's Ray's character, and he helps Joseph by helping Joseph see what Ella's going through, seeing it from a different point of view,
yeah,
and even that beautiful sequence with Bethan, Pippa Bennett Warner, who plays Bethan,
yes,
um, who's in Gangs of London. She's, brilliant actress. Um, she she could be the evil stepmother, but she isn't. The
no, no,
writing
yeah,
is so good that actually what it makes it even more difficult for Anna's character, because there's this woman there who's not only doing it, but is doing it better, and doesn't even want to be in that position, but is doing it
mm,
because she's doing it for those girls. And when I say doing it, for those who haven't seen the film, what I mean is, like, she's become the parent that Ella couldn't be,
yeah,
and but we don't make her out to be the evil step monster for doing so.
no, and that's good. She was a good person. Yeah, yeah, the whole thing is just so emotional. I thought you did such a wonderful job directing it. Everybody in it was so good, and the fact that what I love about you, Stephen, is that you mix it up so much. You're directing, you're in front of the camera. I loved seeing you in Carrie Preston's new show, Elsbeth. I mean, for the fact that I love her to
Me
death. She's so
too.
great. But the fact that she, got you to do this, so for True Blood fans, obviously, such a thrill. For you to do a fun, just silly, that kind of role, this guy who's so pompous and oh my God, what he does.
I know.
How much fun was that?
Well, I just finished Sexy Beast. I just got back, and I directed the last two episodes of Sexy Beast. If anybody hasn't seen it, it's on Paramount Plus. It's just
Yes, it
come out a
is.
couple of
Yeah,
months ago. I play a very nasty, psychopathic
love it.
East End gangster who is one, I suppose one could say, has no particular sort of declaration of sexuality. I don't know if you've seen it, but he is out
I've
there.
seen most of it. Yeah,
He's out there.
he is. But it's
And
so much fun to watch it.
it's so much
Yeah,
fun to do. And I'd
yeah.
got back, and I directed the last two episodes of that, and I'd got back, which I'm very proud of. If you can get to 7 and 8, I'd really appreciate it. Um, and 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 I was in the middle of doing the edit, and Carrie called me and said, "Can you come and do the bad guy in the pilot of Elsbeth?" And I was like, "I can't. I'm editing." And I called Paramount Plus, and I just said, "Is there any way I can get a couple of weeks off because I'm in the middle of the edit?" And they said, "Actually, we were about to yank your editor away
Oh,
because we needed him to do some adjustments on one of the episodes. So you've got a couple of weeks."
perfect.
So I go off and play another nasty sociopath, but a very, very charming one.
Yes, he is. Yes, he was. But
And and
yeah.
honestly, it's
Oh,
one.
she's so good in this role. I love
Oh my
her.
god! Oh my
Yeah.
god! It's one of the honestly, Sexy Beast included. Like the last year of work has been such fun. Like getting to play these horrific people is just so much fun, and getting to do it with brilliant actors. Um, Elsbeth is very, very good. and
Yeah.
it's really well written.
Yeah.
And I
Well, I mean, it comes from the Good Wife people, so I was obsessed with, Good Wife and all of those, so when I saw that
honestly,
Carrie got her own spin-off, amazing.
Robert and Michelle are
Yeah.
just next level. Honestly, I cannot stress it enough. They unbelievable, and um, and getting to work with Carrie was a dream. I've said this before, but it is a good quote, and it's true. When we were doing Comic-Con, and people would ask you questions from the audience, always, and I would get asked, if you could be any character in True Blood, who would it be? And I always said Arlene Fowler,
Huh.
because Carrie was so in that character,
Yeah.
as Arlene. She had so much fun, and we had some big heavy hitters in that show.
Oh, yes, you did. Yeah. Yeah.
But Carrie, oh my God, honestly, they had to sort of stop us from giggling so much when we were working together. But they also Robert would also let us play, because
Yeah.
Robert King was directing the first episode, the pilot.
Yeah.
And there's a sense of play and teasing and sort of joy in those two characters from the pilots coming together. There's my balloons
Yeah.
again.
I don't know where these balloons are
I
coming
don't
from,
know
but
why that is, but look at this.
yeah.
Check this out. Look, I
Yeah.
think you'll
Yeah.
see.
I'm not touching it either. I don't know. It's very strange. And it's not
There's my
definitely not.
fireworks.
Well, that's not me.
It's
But
me. It's me. But
it's all good. You know what? It adds to the, okay. So last question I got to ask you, because of course, I got a lot of here in Canada, a lot of True Blood fans, obviously. Okay. So this is a two-parter here. There has been talk of a reboot. I don't know if I'd want to see a reboot, to be honest. I'm kind of tired, you need more creative things. I like just, original things. I think it would be cool. But again, it's been 15 years. Vampires aren't supposed to age. I get it. All right. Oh, but everybody these days are doing these podcasts where they go back and they look at the old episodes,
Yes.
and they, one by one, they go back on their series. Would you and Anna, or would you consider it? I mean, I think that would be such a great idea.
Well, here's the thing. Yes, I mean, Anna and I are huge West Wing fans. So
Yeah.
for example, Josh Molina and Bradley Whitford do it for West Wing, and I love it. The truth is, two things: Deborah Ann Wall and Kristen Bauer actually are doing the podcast. It's called Truest Blood.
Okay.
But here's the thing, because it's still on the platform, HBO have put certain, and by the way, it's theirs, so I'm not having a go at HBO for this, but there are certain restrictions on spoilers.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
So we can't, so I've been on the show, but you can't go back in, and I would love to talk you through every single episode.
Yeah.
And
boy, would that ever be like,
I'd love to do it.
Yeah.
But HBO sort of want to keep those things fresh in case people haven't seen it.
Well, of course, look, it's always amassing. That's the best thing about streaming, is it's always amassing new fans. I'm sure you bump into kids on the street that probably be like, oh my God, True Blood, I just started watching it. And that's got to be
and
cool.
It does, True Blood does go through these waves of having a new audience again. And they showed it on TNT a couple of 18 months ago or something. I mean, they had to cut it for commercials, and they had to cut some of the sex out. And when you take sex and the violence and the swearing out, all you're left with is the titles. Which is
that show was a really, it will live on. It just really, really fabulous. Well, listen, I've used up a lot of your time today, Stephen. I really, really appreciate it. I'm such a big fan, and I just thought you did such a wonderful job with this film. Honestly, I really do appreciate your time today. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, send my love to Anna and everything. And
Thanks,
honestly,
Bonnie.
she's so wonderful in this. And we still claim her as a Canadian. We really do.
She's
born in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So we love her. Love you. Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks for watching.
All right. Take care. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.